Thank you for joining us for another great service at First and LR. I'm honored that you have set aside part of your week to be with us. If you enjoy watching the service, you'll love it even more in person. We would love for you to come and spend a weekend in a service with us and introduce yourself in the guest center. You can learn more about service times and other ways to connect at firstandlr.com. I'm praying that today's message speaks to you, and I'm believing for God to do marvelous things in your life. Thanks for watching.
I love summer. Do you love summer? It's my favorite time of year. I love the sun. I love all the stuff you do. I love baseball, God's gift to humanity. How about those Arkansas Razorbacks, number one in the country right now? Thrashed Missouri yesterday. We'll do the same this afternoon. I love summer because of vacation. Our family enjoys vacation. We enjoy water vacation. Heidi wants to be at a beach. I particularly don't care if it's the beach, a river, a lake, the ocean, or a big puddle of water. I just like to be by the water, relaxing, somewhere preferably warm. That's why I like cruises. I can sit on a big old boat in a big old pile of water, and they can bring me big old piles of food whenever I want it. That's vacation, ladies and gentlemen. You people who like cold, you're confusing. Who wants to, you baffle me, who wants to go skiing for vacation? You risk your life in the cold. That's not vacation, that's dumbcation. I don't get it. Aaron Stone, he loves action and adventure. That's his idea of vacation. Fun is him doing something, particularly where his life almost ends, or when people who are with are almost die. That's kind of his thing, right? That's what he enjoys. That's stupid. That's stupidcation. Derek and Trinette Brooks, they're Disney people. I think they've been to Disney like 7 times in the last 4 days. It's always there. Some of you are with them in spirit. You know who you are, Sheriff Dollar. So, David Stafford. David's an endurance guy. David once ran a 100-mile race, nonstop. One time he canoed for 340 straight miles from Kansas City to St. Louis without stopping. That's not vacation, that's insane. David needs to see a counselor. Some people are beach people, some are mountain people, some are adventure people, some of you are stay at home and leave me alone people. So what about you? Let's take just real fast, 15 seconds. I want you to turn to your person next to you. You've got $20,000 in 2 weeks. Where would you go on vacation? On your mark, get set, go. If you're watching online, post it in the chat. Don't do that whole Dave Ramsey thing. I'm just going to take the money and deposit and save. Dave will be happy. But this time, where would you go? Based on the sound of the room, some of you need to go on vacation. It's kind of pent up a little bit in here. So one early vacation that I remember, I was a kid. I went with my parents and grandparents. I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and we went to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. I remember that trip as absolutely incredible. I remember standing with my mama underneath the statue of Jesus with his arms out wide. Like, how much closer to heaven can you be than that? I mean, that statue of Jesus had to be like 500 feet tall. So big, I got the little copy of the statue, took it home with me so I could remember him, I guess. Eureka Springs was this huge, magical place in my mind. It was the greatest place I'd been at that point. My memory of it was strong. I'd say to my parents all the time, hey, maybe we should go back to Eureka Springs. It's great. After all, Dad, there's like a 750-foot statue of Jesus. We want to be near Jesus, right? Like, I wanted to go back. It was this amazing, wonderful place in my mind. There was no place like Eureka Springs. I went to Bible school in Springfield, Missouri. A group of us decided to go on a road trip, and we went to Eureka Springs. I was so excited. I told guys, this is where we need to go. I mean, after all, we're Bible college students, and they've got a 1,000-foot statue of Jesus. That's where we have to do this. Like, that's what he expects. My dream was coming true. I knew they were going to have a blast. I was going to have a blast. It was awesome. And then we got to Eureka Springs. And I realized why my dad had never taken us back. The streets are hard to get around. There's nowhere to park. Food wasn't all that great. And the people of Eureka Springs, they're a bit odd. And the statue, it's like 65 feet tall. I remembered Eureka Springs completely different from what it actually was. I wanted to go back to a place that didn't exist. In the last few weeks, we studied people in the Bible who did significant things, but we don't know their actual names. And today we learned about a whole family of no names, a family who held on to the past and then lost everything. We know one of them. We know the dad. His name was Lot. The story of Lot's family is an absolute tragedy. Usually we want to read from the Bible what we should do, but from Lot's family we learn what absolutely not to do. Now, Lot's uncle was Abraham. Abraham was the one that God blessed. And God told Abraham, I will bless you and all of your family. You're my people. And so that family should have included Lot. And truthfully, when Abraham and Lot were together, Lot was blessed. But eventually, at one point, Abraham went one way and Lot went another. Verse 12, Abram, that's Abraham in the story, lived in the land in Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tents near Sodom. Now, the men of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against the Lord. Now, Sodom was this absolutely evil city. And from the moment Lot went to Sodom, stuff just started going wrong. The moment Lot left Abraham and the place of God's presence and blessing, he almost died multiple times. As a result, it was an absolute mess. And it's an important truth for us. When you remove yourself from God's blessing, expect bad things to happen. Lot was in the wrong place with the wrong people doing the wrong things. No wonder he almost died. You can't expect God's blessings when you choose to hang out with sinful people. The Bible and your mama got it right. Bad company corrupts good character. If you work at a corrupt business, expect trouble with the law. If you hang out with people who talk bad about others, that's gossip, by the way. Don't be surprised when they talk bad about you. If you marry someone who doesn't value church, good luck getting them to come with you to church after you're married. And if you listen to hateful people on television or online, all in the name of entertainment, and it doesn't really affect me anyway, watch out, because hate will start coming out of you as well. Now, the inverse is also true. If you want a life marked by God's presence and God's blessing, make sure you are where God is blessing. Make sure you're around people that God is blessing. Expect bad things to happen when you remove yourself from God's presence. Lot left Abraham for Sodom, and right after that, war broke out. Sodom was defeated, the people were killed and captured. Lot was one of the prisoners of war. And Abraham had to go rescue Lot. And so he went, saved Lot, brought him out. And you would think after that the story would go something like this. And Lot came to his senses and told Abraham, thank you for saving me. I was stupid for running from God's presence and from your blessing. I'm moving back in. Can I have a place to stay? But that's not what happened at all. In fact, Lot goes right back to Sodom. And his family starts to spiral downhill. And before this story is over, his sons-in-law are dead. Lot's daughters commit unspeakable sins, and his wife died a preventable, foolish, tragic death. And her life became a lesson that was so important that even Jesus talked about her hundreds of years later. He used her as a sermon illustration when he was talking to his followers about the importance of being focused and committed. In Luke 17:32, Jesus said, remember Lot's wife. It was a warning. Don't be like Lot's wife. So what did she do that was so bad, so messed up, that Jesus uses her as an illustration? We'll read the whole story in Genesis 18 and 19. We're going to summarize it today. Lot goes back to Sodom, and then the Lord appears to Abraham. In Acts chapter 18, verse 20, the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sin is so grievous that I'll go down and see what they've done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." Basically what's happened is this: Sodom and Gomorrah are so evil that God has said, I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to go there, and when I see it, it's going to be destroyed. Abraham says, hold on a moment, God. Lot, my nephew is there. Don't destroy the city. Would you at least save Lot and his family? God agreed, and he sent 2 angels to Lot to warn him and to get him out of the city. Chapter 19, verse 12. The 2 men asked Lot, "Do you have anyone here? Son-in-laws, sons or daughter, anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Because we get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place." Time was running out. He said, "Lot, get you and your family together." You fast forward to verse 15. With the coming of dawn the next morning, the angel urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife, your 2 daughters who are here, or you're going to be swept away when the city is punished." Like, guys, destruction is coming. You've got to go. Go now. And what happens next fascinates me. When he, that's Lot, hesitated. Are you kidding me? I mean, he hesitated? I mean, imagine for a moment 2 angels show up at your door and say, "We're destroying North Little Rock, and let's go." And you look at them and say, "Okay, just a second. I got to run to Walmart and pick up some Red Bull for the journey." Like, what? Lot keeps making foolish decisions. Rather than running, he paused. Verse 16, when he hesitated, the man grasped his hand in the hands of his wife, 2 of his daughters, and led them out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. The angels at this point, they're done talking. They grabbed the family, and in my translation, they dragged them out of the city. They did it because the Lord was merciful to them. I'm so thankful for a merciful Lord and Savior, Jesus. You see, mercy is when God doesn't give you what you deserve. Mercy shows compassion and love of our Savior. Mercy says, even though you're guilty, Jesus says, not guilty. Even though you're at fault, Jesus says, I'll take the punishment. Mercy isn't earned, it isn't deserved, and it shouldn't be expected, but God, rich in love and mercy, shows up and drags you to safety. Now, you came today, you looked around this room, and you said, these people, man, I got nothing in common with them. These people are perfect. They have wonderful little manicured lives. Everything is great. And look at them. I don't fit in here at all. Everything has been amazing their whole life. And if that's what you think, you're absolutely wrong. You see, we are only here because of the mercy of God. There's a bunch of us who got drug into this place by the hand of God. Thank you, Jesus, for your mercy and your grace. Thank you for the freedom that comes through Jesus Christ. Aren't you glad God grabbed you and pulled you to where you need to be? He's a merciful God who loves to rescue his people. And after that, after the angels got Lot's family out, they gave the family very specific instructions. Verse 17, flee for your lives. Don't look back. Don't stop anywhere on the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept away. Pretty clear. Run for your life. Don't look back. Don't stop anywhere. Run for the hills. You don't have to figure this out. Very clear, specific instructions. So what did they do? Verse 18. But Lot said to them, no, my lords, please. He makes some excuses. And then verse 20, he says, look, here's a town near enough to us to run to. It's small. Let me flee to it. Then my life will be spared. Earlier, Lot hesitated. Now he argued and negotiated. Are you kidding me? And surprisingly, at this moment, the angels said, okay, I think the guardian angels are done guarding these people and they'd like to find some new assignments. They said, sure, fine. You can go to this town named Zoar. Go there, you're fine. Verse 23, by the time Lot reached Zoar, the sun had risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah. He overthrew those cities and the entire plain and all those living in the cities. Fire destroys everything. And now we get to Lot's wife, the woman with no name and a terrible legacy. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Lot's wife looked back, and she died. One verse, one mistake, one tragic consequence, and one important, valuable lesson for all of us today. At first, this seems a bit harsh. I mean, come on, Randy. Would God punish a person for one mistake? I mean, all she did was look back. I mean, just a moment ago, you were talking about God's mercy and grace. Why, she just looked back. What's up with that? But make no mistake about it. This was not just a casual glance back. When she turned and looked back at Sodom, this was the exact opposite of what God had told her to do. This was not some fleeting glance, but a stare of disobedience. And when she turned around, we discovered that while she was no longer physically in Sodom, she'd probably never left there emotionally to begin with. Her focus shifted from obeying the Lord who rescued her back to the place where she'd come from. And when you look back, you ultimately will start going back. Because the pull from Sodom is strong. And the pull to go back in your life is strong. Sometimes it's so strong, you forget the reason why you left in the first place. You begin to miss things that weren't actually even there. Kind of like me in my memory of Eureka Springs. I hate watching someone turn back from following Jesus. It's devastating to watch someone who comes so far and then goes the other way. Carrie had a horrible life, but she'd made significant life changes. She'd turned her life completely around. She was at church. She was in ministry. Everything was great. She was following the Lord. I was so proud of her. I was so happy for her. And then one day, everything changed. Her past, she had reconnected with some old friends, reconnected with some old influences, and now the past was no longer the past. She walked away from church, and she walked away from Jesus. It's devastating. The people who look back, even talking about her right now, they rip me up. So why would Lot's wife look back at Sodom? Well, there could be lots of reasons. Maybe she saw the mountains in front of her and thought, man, those mountains look tough. That could be hard to climb. Maybe, like we said earlier, she didn't want to leave at all. To start with, she wanted to stay. But after all, if you remember, the angels had to drag her out. Maybe a better question is not why did Lot's wife look back, but maybe a better question is why do we look back today? Why do you keep looking back? There's lots of reasons people stop moving forward and look back at their past. Sometimes you look back when you think you know better than God. Maybe Lot's wife thought, what's wrong with looking back? I mean, I'm just looking. I know God said don't do it, but I mean, come on, it's just looking. Looking back isn't a big deal. It's not like I'm actually going to go. See, when people think they know better than God, they start to make excuses for their behavior. They rationalize disobedience. It's just one drink. I don't get drunk like I used to. I'm only human. I deserve better. I mean, it's my life. I can do what I want. It's just one weekend. Everybody gets a break from church thing, right? Come on, it's just one glance. When I turned 16, I got a red 4-door Pontiac Grand Am. I was so excited, I had my own sports car. 16 years old, my own sports car. Actually, my mom got a car when I turned 16, and I got to drive it to school every now and then. And thinking about it, a Pontiac isn't really a sports car either. But in my mind, and for the purposes of this story throughout eternity, it was my sports car that I got when I turned 16. I learned to drive my dad's old minivan and an old truck. That's where I learned to drive. I was used to it. And this car was a little bit different. My mom's car, it had a turbo boost engine, which meant it was a sports car by definition. My dad told me, son, this car drives differently. You're going to have to get used to it. Be careful. And I assured him, Dad, I'm a 16-year-old male. I know how to drive. I can handle it. It only took a month before I put the Grand Am in a ditch. It was raining. There was a big curve. I accelerated when I shouldn't. I hit the gas, went right into the ditch. My dad was right. I was wrong. He knew more than me. I didn't listen, so I ended up in the ditch. And when you think you know more than your Heavenly Father, watch out, or your life will end up in the ditch. God is warning you for a reason. His instructions are to help you, not hurt you. He wants what's best for you, not to stop things from your life. Listen to what God is saying and do it. And when you think you know more than He does, guess what? You're wrong. Sometimes you look back when you forget how bad it actually was. Nostalgia is a powerful force. The good old days sometimes were just the old days. There was no good in them at all. Now, I grew up here in Arkansas. When I was a kid, if you were lucky, I would get to go to the entertainment capital of the world, Magic Springs.
A magical time of family thrills that go on day and night all season long. At attractions like Magic Springs Family Theme Park. It's an enchanted land, packed with magical moments. Rides that defy the imagination. And gravity. Splashy kinds. Scenic cruises. Live stage shows featuring toe-tapping music and dancing that get the entire family humming along. It's one magical moment after another with time out to eat. It's a place where kids and parents share fun-filled quality time. That's the real magic at Magic Springs Family Theme Park.
An enchanted place with amazing cruises. Did you see that? I mean, who needs Disney World and that stupid mouse? Derek Trinette, we had Magic Springs and a rabbit with a hat. Who needs this Space Mountain? We had the Roaring Tornado. In my mind, Magic Springs was this spectacular place. It was huge. Like, there was no way you could do everything in one day at Magic Springs. It was just too big. It was so amazing. And if you didn't grow up in Arkansas, I feel sad for you that you never got that experience. I couldn't wait when Morgan and Beth were older to take them to Magic Springs. I told Heidi and them, it's going to be an amazing place. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. We went, and that's when I discovered that Magic Springs was actually more like Magic Fizzle. Most of the rides were broken. Restaurants were closed. The Roaring Tornado was long gone. This huge park, in my mind, was actually really small. I think the girls were done in like 2 hours. They were completely unimpressed. When I came back, I told a friend of mine about it, and I was like, can you believe what's happened to Magic Springs? And he looked at me and said, it was always like that. You're laughing because you went back then too. That's funny about Magic Springs, but not so funny when it comes to your life and when you're remembering wrong. Your emotions and temptation work together to distort your memory of your past. You forget what it was really like, and then you repeat the same mistake. I mean, you broke up with a guy because he was cruel. He was abusive. And now you're beginning to wonder, maybe it wasn't all that bad. Maybe it wasn't all him either. And so you're thinking about reaching out to him and texting him. It's been a while since you smoked weed, and the last time you smoked weed, it really messed you up. You almost lost your job. You almost got kicked out of school, but now you're thinking, it can't have been that bad. Maybe I can handle it now. Your old friends, they treated you like trash. They talked about you. They took advantage of you. But this week, one of them texted you and invited you to come hang out. You're like, maybe, I don't know. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Don't let your mind and emotions play tricks on you. God set you free from addiction. Don't look back. Don't go back. God set you free from a broken, abusive relationship. Don't look back. Don't go back. God saved you from sin and death. Don't look back. Don't go back. Listen to Jesus' warning. Remember Lot's wife. Don't look back. Learn the lessons. What are the lessons from Lot's family? I'm going to give you real fast, so write them down. Their story illustrates a pattern of failure. First, don't walk away from God's blessing. See, all this started to happen when Lot chose Sodom over Abraham, when he chose evil place over the place of God's blessing. It's time for you to get back into ministry, get back into connections class, get back to Forever Free, get back to church, get back to your relationship with Jesus. Don't walk away. Second, don't hesitate when God tells you to do something. When God came to rescue Lot and his wife, they hesitated. When God says go, go. Immediately do what he says. Third, don't argue when God tells you to do something. Don't debate, don't rationalize, don't strategize, don't try to get something from God. Just do what he says. And finally, remember Lot's wife and don't look back. Lot's wife was a tragic story because Sodom, this evil place, had this strong hold on her, and she wouldn't let go of her past. And you understand because you've not been able to walk away from that space, that place, and that person that's had a hold on you. You haven't been able to walk away either. You keep going back, and it actually frustrates you. Do what Jesus said in Luke 17. Remember this woman and don't look back. If you want to experience God's blessing, if you want to experience God's plan, if you want what God intends for you, it's time for some of you to stop looking back and stop going back. It's time for a relationship to end. It's time for you to delete some cell phone numbers from your phone. I'm not talking about later this afternoon. I'm talking like right now. You should get out your phone and you should delete the contact from your phone while I'm preaching. It's time to delete some apps on your phone because those apps have kept you in bondage. They're taking you away from the plan of God. It's time for some websites to be blocked on your computer. It's time for you to go home and pour out some alcohol. It's time for you to ignore some phone calls and block some people from calling you. Stop replying to the text. Stop replying to the emails. Delete your social media account. You made it a whole long time without Instagram. You can move forward in life without it as well. Destroy the drugs. And for one of you, it's time this week to change your job. Don't look back. Don't go back.